Okay, so welcome. Today is November 26th, 2023, and we are live from the hospice. Hello, everyone. This is part 3 of the narrative medicine project of autism and ovarian cancer. And we are working with technology and COVID lockdowns, multiple technologies, and everything. So welcome, Lindsey, and I'm Paula.
We're happy to be here in this beautiful room doing this wonderful project.
There you go. So last time we talked was and there's some reverberation. The last time we talked was in July. And after July, there started what we as a family understood there to be panic attacks. Can you tell me a little bit about what we first understood to be the panic attacks and the pain in the head and the neck that started in July and August of this year, 2020?
Well, it started as feeling dizzy when I got out of the car, and we said, well, maybe it's a very hot day, maybe it's just the heat, and it passed in a few seconds. It didn't seem like such a big deal. And then it built up into, finally in August, I found what was supposed to be a 3-month contract job. And then I felt like that panic attack there. So, but it felt more like stress, kind of like a wave of adrenaline. And felt more like stress and maybe autistic burnout from 8 months of job hunting. With a lot of autistic support from autistic groups, and still only finding a 3-month contract turned out to be 8 days. So it felt kind of like stress, oversized stress. And then in September that turned into something else. But in the summer it just felt like oversized stress, really.
And then you had some starting headaches and neck pain as well.
Yeah.
As well as the dizziness.
It turned into neck aches and headaches, and then we controlled them with Tylenol, and then went to our family doctor. Got some Ativan, which helped sort of help the symptoms, but and then, Tylenol would kind of work. Not sure when I started on Tylenol 3, but it kind of leveled out and had to take more and more. And then September it turned into horrendous pain, and then the hospital.
Yeah, and you had several rounds of into the ER and back, and people just almost dismissing it as just panic attacks, so-called, right?
Right. Yeah, it had been with some help, but it's kind of like the original ovarian cancer. We looked into, maybe it's a bowel problem, let's try X, or maybe you can't digest lactose, go off lactose for a while. And all just kind of dealing with the surface symptoms rather than the underlying cause.
Right. How did that feel to you to have your sort of something that felt more serious to you almost dismissed and back and forth to the ER when it felt experientially like something more?
No, it was very stressful. I would have preferred to just know about it and deal with it rather than spending that time dealing with the symptoms. And it was just stress. Well, it felt, everyone experiences stress, but this felt more like a severely stressful situation. And the adrenaline rushes were not fun. And just going in, dealing with the surface symptoms and going back was not I think that was a waste of time, really.
The back and forth, yeah.
Well, and then there was no evidence of disease in July, but they didn't scan my head, so they missed the growing brain tumor.
Right, so I think the last time we talked was just before we were going to go to Calgary together. And we had some good news at that point in time. To back up a little bit, that you were on July 4th, no evidence of disease based on your scans from your pelvis, which is where they normally scan ovarian cancer, because that's where it normally comes back.
Right.
Right.
Normally shows up in the abdomen.
Right.
So
So
my head.
yeah. So how did you feel? Like, should back up a little bit. How did you feel after that July appointment?
Oh, I felt great, and that's what every cancer patient wants to hear.
Right.
And I felt pretty well, and I always love summers. So, it was riding pretty high then.
Yeah, it was beautiful to be here, and we were celebrating your birthday, and it was summertime, and great news from the oncology team.
Yeah, it was really a happy time.
Yeah. But I remember there was a little bit of dizziness getting in and out of the car, but it's sort of, like you said, very similar to the beginning of the ovarian cancer journey, as we, or detour, or whatever we want to call it. That it's like, oh, it's something else, it's something else, it's something else. It's always
other things.
Yeah, exactly. So when did you personally begin to think, I'm not buying the panic attack narrative? Like, I'm not buying that these are, quote, just panic attacks. They feel like more. Because you had panic attacks before.
Well, I think Andy was good at Denny's a lot. And one night at Denny's, I had 3 panic attacks, and like within an hour, and both Andy and I said, okay, this is getting serious.
Right.
This is not just random feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that fast. And, we know that restaurant very well, and it just felt like I was stumbling around, and did one thing, a few minutes, and then another one, and started to release. I can't just explain this away anymore.
There weren't easy answers.
Yeah, and even Andy accepted it at that point.
Yeah,
It's getting serious. We need to do something immediately.
Particularly because it was like your happy place, or it used to be your happy place, right? It was a treat to go there, so it shouldn't be a stressful environment.
No, it was, it's normally comfortable and enjoyable.
And a well-known environment, not too overwhelmed with the sensory stuff.
Yeah.
Did you feel when you went into the emergency room, I think it was 3 times before it was diagnosed as something, before they actually can scan your head, did you feel that you were treated as an autistic person? How did that experience go? Or was it just the usual horrendous nature of being in the emergency room as someone who's autistic?
That's sort of a normal, my hospital would be very different than how the reality is, but
sure,
kind of accept that hospitals are going to be noisy. They're going to have a lot of people moving around in them. I think it was, how distressful is it? Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Nothing particularly stood out. I remember anyway.
What I remember, it seems to me, what's changed in this chapter, and even in that July time, but certainly since the fall, and here the end of November of the same year, is that you have become more confident in speaking your truth as an autistic person.
Yeah.
Like, I remember that appointment on July 4th. I was so proud of you. You're like, excuse me, I'm autistic. Excuse me. By the way, I'm autistic. By the way, I'm autistic. By the way, excuse me, hands up. Hello. Hallelujah. I'm speaking my truth.
Yeah.
Waving your arms, but doing so in a really powerful way. And you did that to the oncology team, and that was not happening in 2019.
I'm pretty proud of myself, really.
Yeah. So how did that feel to you to say to your oncology team, to your healthcare providers every single time, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me? I mean, I was doing that too, because by that time, the development of the guide had been going on for a number of years. And of course, you and I have been talking about this for a long time.
No, that felt really good.
Yeah.
It felt great.
That feel more authentic, or was it?
Well, I felt more powerful. Like, I'm not just quiet, kid sitting here waiting for someone to tell me what to do,
Yeah.
which was my, my persona from grade 2 on.
Birth, yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Basically, that's how we're raised to be fine. Yep, yep, yep. That's our response. So
Yeah. No, it felt really good. It felt more empowered, I guess.
yeah.
Just like I'm here, I'm the patient. If I need to slow down, you slow down, no matter how big a hurry you're in.
Yeah.
I'm in charge.
Yeah. And I think it even like you and I both in the hospital experience too, we really sort of distilled that. With the green marker on the patient.
Oh yeah.
It's like, I'm autistic.
I'm autistic.
Check understanding, support sensory breaks,
And slow down.
And it's really interesting is like of all the hugeness that is the experience of Lindsey version experience of autism, we can sort of distill it down.
Yeah.
A couple of smudged words on a patient board.
Yeah.
It's really interesting that we can that can be done in a sort of acute setting.
Yeah. No, it's really good.
Yeah.
I'm happy with it.
So can you talk a little bit about how and when you first started to realize that it was, oh shit, the cancer is back?
Well, I think really like in September. No. One of the most since after the first chemo experience, probably the most acute pain I've had in the cancer experience. Just my head, both Andy and I thought my head was going to explode.
Yeah, and I was on the phone with you too. You were actually crying in pain, and I had to tell him to call 911 and like, let's go. This is not okay.
Yeah. Oh, it was
really scary.
Yeah. Sort of different but equal pain from that time I had to wait 8 hours for my chemo drugs after chemo. But
did you think it was cancer at that time, or did you just not know what it was?
I didn't know at that point. It was too much pain
to think. Yeah, you weren't thinking about what
just like I feel pain. I need it to stop.
Fair enough.
Basic survival kind of.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Kind of stuff. But no, I knew something terribly wrong.
Right. Yeah.
In my people life, I rarely get headaches. I do. They're not mild. So this was something screaming basically.
Your body screaming. Yeah. And then everything happened really quickly. My memory of it anyways is that it's there's scans, there's a tumor. We didn't know the origin of the tumor.
Right.
And then there was the long wait for the surgery and the flights there and everything happening. So, no, I was thinking about when you first when you were waiting for your surgery and we were trying to name the tumor. And we were thinking of all the funny names.
Patricia.
Yeah.
Late at night I'd had a fair bit of codeine. It was late at night. Yeah, that was a fun experience. And then we finally came up with Egbert because eggs make me vomit.
Yeah.
Seemed like an appropriate name.
I think Patricia, I was texting her back and forth than what I was telling her what we were texting, and she said we need to name this thing something ridiculous, and something we need to get rid of because we were waiting for the surgery to start.
Right.
And I think she came up with let's see, what do we want to get rid of? Ableism, racism, Trump. And then it was Euphemia and Egbert, but she spelled it Egbert. And then you sort of woke up and went Egbert, but then we had to spell it with 2 G's because of the eggs make you vomit.
Yeah. Okay, that's very cute.
That's what happened. And,
I like that story.
Right. And so from now on, we talk about the Egbert brain, which is our sort of
something or
funny,
my phone or my purse or my lunch or
exactly, or your feet.
My feet. They're there.
They're there. And I think that's kind of our kind of code word of funny, not funny, saying we have to have some grace with what we're working with. Working with an Egbert brain. So and it is what it is, which I don't really like that saying, but it kind of, once we know that we have an Egbert brain,
Right.
And I mean, I can't even, so what's it been like for you to get used to Egbert brain?
Yeah. Or, like the 80s ad, this is your brain, this is your brain on Egbert. Any
This is,
questions?
this is your brain with a 5 centimeter brain metastasis in it.
Yeah.
And then chemo.
Yeah.
Not
Radiation.
chemo, radiation, yeah. So I guess that's the next question. So how has your life changed since Egbert brain?
Well, my brain doesn't function as well. So that's the short answer. It functions fairly well during the middle of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the evening, it just goes down from there. So I'm trying to do more of the brain intensive activities where my brain's doing better. And I think the main thing is just accepting that it's not me not making enough effort. It's just, this is how my brain is now, and being at least as nice to myself as I would to someone else going through the same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not an effort.
Yeah. And it's not lack of competence or lack of effort. It's just, this is
Absolutely.
like, if I had broken my leg, I would need to do a lot of physio to get it back to just basic walking and functioning again.
Yeah.
But this isn't the same, because this is just how my brain is functioning now.
Yeah, and
It's not a matter of doing enough brain exercise to make it function better again.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
it isn't. It's a new reality, right?
Yeah. So just working around it, adapting, like I have with the vision.
Right. So one of the things that's happened since the brain surgery was that you did lose quite a bit of your visual field. So from your nose down and on the left-hand side. And there's been some new tremors as well.
Yeah.
So how has that been moving through your world?
Well, I've had to, I think it's adapting, and just walk a lot and moving more slowly, and luckily in my world now it's the hospice, where the hallways are designed for people with different issues. So I'm glad I'm here and not at Andy's house, where it would be a lot more difficult. But the environment I'm in is designed with wide hallways and big spaces. It's very clean. But yeah, it's still a challenge. I still have to remember to turn my head left so I can see everything. And
right. The other day we were looking at something and you were seeing 4 of something that were 5. And I said, Lindsey, turn your head to the left. She's like, oh, there's 5.
five dots,
5, not 4. And
or I have to, on the computer screen, I kind of sometimes miss something on the left edge.
Yeah, and food off the left side of the plate. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's literally adapting. If I hear you correctly, it's adapting your physical self.
Mhm.
Right. And also then adapting your environment.
Right.
Yeah. And adapting it sounds to me, and you and I have talked a lot about this obviously not us, but being more kind to ourselves. Like, unfortunately, it's hard to sort of say, because you're used to, if I just try hard enough, I'm going to get to goal X or Y.
Right.
It's simply
just make enough
effort and honor, and then I will get to whatever. But that's not where we're at right now.
Right. And if it was somebody else, if it was you, I wouldn't say, well, come on, Paula, just try harder.
Try harder. Yeah, exactly. But we're very rarely as kind to ourselves as we are to other people.
No.
Yeah.
It's usually just, come on, more effort, more muscle. You can do it. Go.
Yeah. And so you've said that you are here in the hospice at 57. What do you think about that?
Well, it's not what I,
not quite what I was planning. That's my favorite 6-word autobiography. Not what I was planning.
You'd ask me when I was 27. So in 30 years, how about being in hospice? Does that sound nice?
Or even at 56.
Yeah, that's right. 56.
Right? Or even in July, even
July.
6 months ago.
Yeah. Like, what, a hospice?
Yeah.
I don't need to be in a hospice.
I know.
No evidence of disease. No. mean,
We're going to Sephora when you guys last heard from us all.
that's right.
On this interview process on this channel, so.
That's right.
And we did.
And we did, yeah. No, but the good news is I'm far happier here than I was at Andy's house.
No.
I'm calm. I mean, obviously it's a big step over a waiting burden at the Foothills Hospital.
And back and forth and in and out and
No, that was very stressful.
rehab or surgery or radiation and all of the things. Yeah.
And all the waiting and all
the waiting.
Yeah. This is much better.
Yeah.
And then I've got a beautiful room, great staff, good food. It's not what I would have. Nobody thinks in their youth, oh, I want to stop working and be in a hospice at 57, but
no, that's nobody's plan.
But I'm getting what I need and a lot of what I want now. So.
Yeah. So the hospice has this, being in hospice has a specific philosophy of care and more of a whole person care. Does that resonate with who you are right now?
That's really good.
Okay.
Shane, the spiritual support person, is literally like steps away across the hall from me.
Right.
I went over and had a wonderful talk with him the other day for about an hour. And I really did feel like he was caring about my whole self and my relationships, and was able to talk about a lot of things with him. So, and I think that's important. I mean, because in a hospital they're dealing with a specific medical need, or in ward 62, okay, you can wait here until you're going somewhere else.
Yeah, it's keeping the body alive until you go on to the next place. Yeah.
Right. But here, it's going to be at least 3 months, probably it could be longer. So you need, so there's tasty, more interesting food than there is in a hospital. There's met some nice neighbors and talked, connected with them. Once the COVID outbreak is over, I'll be able to eat with other residents in the dining room. So get some sort of social interaction, hopefully. And there's a nice patio to sit out on and get fresh air and sunshine. I think they make a lot of effort to, like, the books in the lounge you can borrow. Not a lot of social stuff here, but I think they do make an effort to see you as more than just your medical chart.
When your medical charts, exactly. Yeah. So it's almost more like the way I see it as, again, as a caregiver, as a loved one, is that it's almost more naturally aligned with the kind of whole person care that you and I have been advocating for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, even though it's not specific, there's nobody here that has had any specific sort of autism education, and we still have autistic written on the patient board, and I don't think anybody ever reads it, but the fact that you are allowed to be your whole self, and this simply it's a quieter environment too, by nature, it's not the dinging bells and everything. And the other thing to me that's interesting is, I mean, when I talked about this before, is that the energy, it's a different change of energy since 2019, since the diagnosis up until really a month ago, maybe. It's all this, it's sort of what's next, it's blood test, it's treatment, will it work, is it surgery, it's chemo, it's this, it's that, and then it's more surgery, it's radiation, then what, and that's a kind of a frantic waiting energy. And
it's exhausting.
It's exhausting. It's got to be exhausting. It's exhausting as a caregiver and as a loved one. It's got to be exhausting as a patient.
No, it's
and now it's a different energy.
Frantic.
Now it's like, okay, we have to deal with the fact that no, you're not refusing treatment, but none are being offered. There just isn't any. Which sucks. But it also means you're not waiting for a treatment to work or not work.
Which is a lot of anxiety.
Right.
And draining.
Draining. So now what does that mean to you to think that there's no more treatment?
Well, it's sad.
I
mean, I'd like there to be something else we can do for it. But on the other hand, it's a lot calmer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can focus my energy, talk about an energy budget, but I can focus all my energy on what can I do to, I can do the exercises the OT showed me. I can get as much walking in as I can every day. I have more energy to do things I enjoy and that are going to make me feel better.
That's
And
the
less
quality of life part, right?
Yeah, the life part.
The life part. It's
Which is
the living while you're the living part. Yeah, it's so weird. Rather than spending the energy trying to live, you can actually live.
Yeah.
Which is ironic in hospice.
Yeah, it is.
But it's true.
But yeah, so getting more steps in makes me feel good. So I do that for
So does chocolate for breakfast.
Having chocolate for dessert for breakfast because life is short and you need.
And the water rises, time is short and the water rises. Yeah.
Yeah. So you eat chocolate as dessert for breakfast.
Yeah.
Or just go out on this, like we had a day that was 14 degrees a few days ago. So we went out and sunbathed in the corner of the patio.
Yeah.
Like a cat.
Get solar powered.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you think your experiences in palliative care are specific to autism, or how do you think that yeah.
It's way better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, part of that is just a different hospitals are going to have. But in Ward 62, where it was just before this, there was 24/7 noise. My
sensory overload.
Sensory overload.
I was in sensory overload from another province.
Yeah, it was.
So, and while I was there too, but yeah, so you must have been going nuts. Yeah.
Like constant, IV pulse beeping. My neighbor couldn't use his call bell, so I called for him. But just, and I had headphones and pink noise, but which helped some.
Mm-hmm.
But and COVID lockdown, so then I wasn't allowed to leave this small section of a divided room, which was an enormous improvement over the previous room, which was.
Yeah, that was the one I was in. That was horrendous. So yeah.
Sorry, what was the question?
Egbert brain.
Yeah, Egbert brain.
I also forgot the question. I said I talk about palliative care and autism.
Oh, it's fabulous.
Yeah.
It's about because people are quiet, they're respectful. And it's a different setting. So you hear an occasional machine, but it's not constant machines. And I have 4 walls and a door, which is enormous improvement.
Yeah, you have your own space,
which is huge, enormous. I'm sleeping better, and just my stress level went from 99 point something to, it fluctuates, but it's way lower than it was in the hospital.
Yeah.
Just the daily, and also because I'm sleeping better, then it's a positive cycle.
Absolutely. Yeah. What have you discovered about yourself? What do you think is the most important thing about yourself that you've discovered since, say, July?
Well, I think.
Or what's changed?
Well, I think I've gotten clearer. There's less stuff in the way. Like I think before I wanted to say X, but there's wanted to say things, but there are all these layers of don't do it. I'd have to go through my inner editors, which often squashed it. And now I've got my inner editors out of the way and just I'm saying things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting a lot. Hey, I need this. I want this.
Mm-hmm.
Polite, respectful way, but just I've gotten sort of out of my own way and I'm not censoring myself as much, or just kind of blown out those things and this is what I want. I'm going to ask for it. But at least I've asked, kind of thing.
At least I've asked. Yeah. Do you think is that Now, is that sort of since July or since the return of the cancer and since you realized the holy shit, the cancer's back kind of moment?
I think more since September.
Yeah, since the holy shit, the cancer's back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And okay, this is like our mom said before she died, this is our time.
right. So what does that mean to you being this is your time? What does your time mean to you?
Well, it means doing stuff like this.
Yeah,
It's really important.
important to me too.
But it also means just talking to Andy differently and just saying, no, I'm done talking about this topic.
Yeah, because you've
Being
had a lot of changes of understanding of your relationship and what it means to be in relationship with people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just, I don't need to listen to this for 5 hours in a row.
yeah,
I'm not going to.
yeah.
My time's valuable and I want to have a pleasant visit, so let's change the topic.
Yeah. And what I've seen, which is again, both sort of for me, it strikes me as something that's really profoundly beautiful and profoundly sad at the same time, is that she's coming into her own power. She's finding her own voice. She's reading her own worth.
Mhm.
And yet it took to this point.
Yeah, to do
I
this.
mean, I wish this has happened for you when you were 17 instead of 57.
Me too.
Yeah, me too. But on the other hand,
I got here.
so you got here. We get here when we get here, right? We get
Yeah.
here, we get here. And I'm incredibly grateful that it's happened now rather
Yeah.
than never.
Right.
And that you have had the experience of speaking up, speaking your truth, putting down boundaries, being your authentic self,
Yeah.
autistic and all, Egbert brain and all as well.
Yeah.
You know, this is me. So are there ways that you think that sort of palliative care or even sort of end of life care that could be improved for autistic people specifically? If you were designing a hospice made for autistic people only, so in order to get into this special hospice, you of course had to be within 3 months of the end of your life. That's usually usually there's a little bit of wiggle room there, but usually that's the entrance requirement. But also you had to be autistic, either officially diagnosed or self-diagnosed or self or whoever. What would that hospice look like?
Well, I think a lot of what's happening, but sort of formalizing what's happening already, like people coming in and asking, do you need anything? And I had one lovely woman this morning. So I told her I was going to take a shower as where we are, you need to. And oh, well, would you like me to make your bed for you? And and we chatted for a few minutes, and that was really nice without having to directly ask for it. He was asking about my family and how many brothers and sisters I had, and telling me about her large family, and but people who just intuitively offer those things.
Like a little bit of like a small portion of social interaction. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that was great.
Okay.
And so that's a big thing, and very different from Word 62, where everybody's I mean, not their fault, but everyone's in a frantic hurry all the time.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
24/7.
right.
So part of that structural, that people here, the staff here, have time to stop and chat for a couple of minutes.
That's it, but I think that's I mean, I'm glad that was a good experience for you, but I think that's any hospice.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so what I'm hearing, I could be wrong, is that I'm hearing that spoke to your needs, and that's awesome. And that maybe spoke to the way that you as an autistic person like to function.
Yeah. A couple of minutes of pleasant interaction.
Right.
Without having to say, oh, I need some socialization. It's up to me to go find.
It's up to you to go find it.
Which is
hard.
But it's more, especially in COVID lockdown.
Right. But what I'm wondering is that if that's different for people who are not autistic. So I'm wondering if we're designing this autism hospice.
Well, I think what would be helpful. What I haven't been able to do yet, but I think theoretically could be helpful is what they have set up already is the eating together in the dining room, just having regular meals, regular socializing times, but with an activity. So it's not just, oh, come and stand around and chat with each other awkwardly, but that you've got an activity, or perhaps like the old-fashioned movie night kind of things where you have an activity. There's sort of something to do, but you can chat a bit after or before, that kind of thing. Hospices don't generally have a lot of activities, but or things like the lounge with a puzzle. You could go work together on a puzzle for a while. But basically some kind of activity around which you can. That's how I've made friends in my life, is having work. You have work, you take a break, you chat, but you do that over time and get to know each other slowly. So some kind of built-in activities that encourage people to get to know each other.
But I'm thinking almost like end of life stuff, because so like one alternative to end of life stuff is keeping a person, my understanding is like in a hospital, like let's say, keeping them hooked up to all these machines. Right, so they're all hooked up to all these machines, and he's going ping, 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 ping.
Yeah, that's nice.
Right, so it might keep the body alive, but it is by definition going to go ding, 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 ding constantly, right? And because you've got hooked up to machines, that means you're going to have more healthcare providers coming in and out constantly to check the machines to go ping.
Right.
So it's almost like hospice by definition is autism friendly.
Yeah, oh, I like it. That's right. I'm very happy here.
Yeah, I think that's kind of that's interesting. I wonder if other people think that.
No, it's much.
Yeah.
It's easier on my spirit to be here.
Yeah, it's easier on your spirit, and
so then therefore I'm much happier.
Exactly. Yeah, and then ultimately much healthier.
And healthier.
Yeah.
I mean, ironically, a hospital to promote your health is not healthy for me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, even when I have people check me, it's like, how's your sister? And she's in hospice, and they'll go, oh no. And I'm like, no, actually, it's a good thing.
It's really good.
I'm so, and I feel like I sound like some sicko sometimes. I'm like,
well, but people don't.
No, if you don't know, you don't know.
Hospice is only last few days of your life.
Well, it can be, and it might be for you at some point in time. We don't know. We don't know. Rivers go where they go, right? They go.
Right, but at this point, it's the best place I can imagine. At this point,
it's the best place, and so we're all happy you're here. But
yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any sort of new understandings of what, because I mean, the term sort of quality of life is one of those terms. It's like patient-centered care. It's sort of what does quality of life, or quality of life in terms of reducing suffering, mean to you right now?
Well, it means feeling good. It means being able to do my walking workouts and feeling energized and bright. It means having you come and visit. It means talking to Dawn on the phone. Sitting out on the patio chatting with Andy. It means
pedicures.
Pedicures, definitely. Yeah, we're doing that again at Christmas.
That's right.
Pedicures were great. And really living in the moment. And I've had trouble. I spent most of my life thinking about the future, thinking about the past.
That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And now I'm just, what am I doing now?
Yeah.
Making that as good for myself as I possibly can.
Yeah.
So it's really, it sounds cliche, but just, and when my mind starts to wander off, like, I wonder what's going to happen. No, what are you doing now?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one, this whole is like mindfulness exercise, like stay in the moment. But what I think, as an observer, what I see is that in some ways you almost have to stay in the moment, like as the effects of the surgery and the radiation are, you actually aren't very good you're good at thinking about the past, but you're not good at thinking about the future anymore.
Like, what do I need to do to have what happened in 90 seconds?
Yeah, exactly. And that's, again, it's not a criticism, hun. It's just,
No, I know, it's just how my
it's just, so it's given the fact that the functionality has changed.
Mhm.
It's not so like in a, so for example, if you're doing a mindfulness practice, you would have to say,
No.
okay, don't think about the future, think about now in the next 90 seconds. But it's almost like you can reflect on the past if that's enjoyable.
Nice memories.
If it's nice memories.
Yeah.
Are you more forgiving of your past selves, if you feel you have made past regrets, sins in your life, or not sins, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I don't think about it as much.
Sorry, you do?
I don't think about it as
Don't
much.
think about it as much.
No, sometimes sort of get flashes of me at different ages, but I was doing what I could with what I had then, so
Yeah.
it's not like I was screwing up then, now I figured it all out. It's just we learn as we go.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't worry about things I've done in the past so much now. I did them. Now I'm here. What am I doing?
Yeah, exactly. So if you allow yourself to think about the future, is it something that you worry about, or do you fear, or do you trust the fact that now you're in hospice, that they won't let your body suffer? And
well, I think it's just more, and I want to make it to, I'd like to make it to 90, but that doesn't seem likely now, but I'm thinking more like, I would love to make it to 60. But none of the 8 billion of us know.
That's true. Yeah.
We can do what we can to be healthy, to take care of ourselves while we're here, but
yeah,
no one knows.
Yeah.
Just cancer patients are kind of strongly encouraged to think about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it isn't, I think that's true. It isn't until you have some kind of very serious illness like cancer or another illness like that, that you start to think, oh yeah, what happens to, what's it all about? What are the big questions? Why am I here? What happens at death? What happens after death?
Which all humans think about, but
absolutely. Yeah.
But not necessarily in their mid to late 50s.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Is there, I mean, to me, as someone who's, I actually think there's a benefit in thinking about those things sometimes. I mean, because I don't think they're morbid thoughts. I think actually, there's sort of something in anthropology thing, by learning about a person's understanding of a good death, it tells you a great deal about their understanding of a good life.
Yeah.
So for example, if you say, if you meet a person, just, it doesn't matter what culture, and they say, good death is, being alone by the river or whatever, or if a good death is being surrounded by family after this or that, just by even just a few words, you could actually glean quite a bit of what is important to that person,
right,
their whole life.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Right? Because for example, let's say if someone says, like grandpa, right? Who wanted to see family, but remember I think, and everybody thinks he waited to die to walk home safe.
Yeah, he wanted everybody to run the roads
night that he died.
And then he let go.
And then he let go. I mean, he was dying. So the river was going where it was going. The body was dying. The cancer was advancing. The body was going. But he was the type of fierce, independent person who wanted to make sure all his people were home safely.
Yeah.
And so, and it was a winter night.
Yeah.
And we were all home safely. And then he died alone.
Yeah.
And in some ways, I remember thinking as a younger person, because I was 21 when he died, thinking, oh, how sad that he died alone and we were just there. I wasn't there. But now I think, no, that's the way it was meant to be, because
his last act was taking care of, making sure his family was okay.
Exactly. And where there's other people who wouldn't you know, you've heard this story too, of course, and he's like, I'm not gonna die until all my people are around me and then I'll let go.
Right, yeah.
Or, I mean, that's very simplified, but I think it's very telling that, you know, you can tell a lot about what somebody, if they want to be alone, or if they want to one last this or one last that, or, you know, they want somebody from their church to come pray with them. They want to have a music around them and stuff. So if you knew for sure the time, the hour, the season of your death, what would be the most important things to you?
Having you there.
Well, thank God. No, don't cry. I'm gonna have to run across the room. Okay, I'm gonna do that right now. Don't cry.
I just got it out.
Oh, don't cry. Oh. I love you so
I
much.
love you too, honey. I really that would be though.
I'll try, so get organized, make a list.
Okay, what day is good for you?
I'll put it in my day book.
Yeah, I know you will. Okay, okay, I got that out. I haven't cried very much.
Oh, you can cry all you want. We're all good to cry here.
Okay.
No,
I
I'm
love to cry.
kidding.
Little tears.
We're back.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, this is why we're recording it. Oh, this is beautiful. No, I think that it's, you know, it's really important to be able to talk about our emotions, and it's just a blessing to be here with you through the whole thing.
You'll get the real home sisters here.
You get the real home sisters and all our glory and our bagged eyes and the way that we've aged in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So,
But we're still
but
still
we're
here.
still here.
Still loving each other.
Yeah. But other than having somebody around you who, you know, is loving, in terms of, you know, so you're not going to make sure everybody's home on their icy roads safe.
Right. I
What do you want people to know about Lindsey?
I contributed during my life. I did a lot of volunteering in my 20s. But I also, when I was a kid, the help there was remedial gym because my balance was horrible. And then went into a class for smart kids for a few months, but failed because I wasn't good at teamwork.
So you weren't good at tumors?
Teamwork.
Oh,
Yeah.
you actually are good at tumors.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's good. But I mean, I was a smart kid, but, and also because I was a good, quiet kid who didn't cause trouble for the teachers. The boys who were acting out got the attention.
Right. Yeah.
No, but I succeeded. I decided that, I think probably because we had parents who were going to university, who were involved in university, that I was going to get a degree. So I did. Although it took me, I think, the same effort to get okay marks as it took other people to get A's, but that's what I wanted to do, so I did it. But even though most autistic people have no paid employment, I was able to stay employed for about 40 years. Low level, low paid jobs, but I at least was able to pay my own rent, and I was able to get married when I wanted to get married, rather than having to get married at 19 or 20 just because someone asked me. So I got to apply with a lot of help from family, their mom, but I think for someone who was diagnosed at 49 with autism, that I did really well. And I was good with money and was able to, a lot of autistic people end up in abusive relationships, as I am now, but I have financial and family support that I am able to make other choices, whereas other autistic people are, if you have no income and no family support, you have much more limited options.
Mhm.
No, so I am able to decide where I want to live, and but I made the best. I made the best of what I have,
Mhm.
and I'm grateful for all the family support I've had throughout my life. A lot of autistic people don't have that,
Yeah.
and end up homeless, or and then the only other option really can sometimes be an abusive relationship.
Mhm.
Okay, I made the best of what I've had, and I'm not talking about myself. I am making the best of what I have,
Yeah.
and will continue to as long as I'm breathing.
Yeah. No, I know you will. Do you have a sense of what happens in the afterlife?
No, not really.
Yeah.
And I think
Do you sense that you will join all those beautiful family members who've gone before, and all our pets who have crossed the rainbow bridge, and
I hope so.
yeah,
I really hope so.
they'll be company for you
Yeah,
when we get there.
I believe so.
Yeah.
And I think it's again how you projection of how we feel about ourselves.
Hmm.
As humans feel about ourselves now, and everybody's idea of heaven is a bit different, and sort of their ideal of what their life would be.
Hmm.
I think heaven for somebody 150 years ago would have looked very different from heaven now.
And I mean, somebody's idea of heaven down the street is gonna look different than yours. I mean, maybe yours will look like a big Sunday family dinner with everybody, grandma's best china, and
Yeah,
all of us gather together, and again one more time.
and definitely pets.
Definitely, all the cats got to
All
be
the cats,
all the
are
cats.
ever loved, and they're all healthy and
Yeah.
purring and happy, and no medical problems for anyone.
Hmm. And even the really badly behaved cocker spaniels,
Yeah,
are they allowed? I don't see. They're not allowed in my heaven.
no,
No, they're exiled.
they have their own heaven somewhere.
They're chasing rabbits somewhere. So
That's right.
chasing rabbits and eating garbage in heaven next door.
Yeah, Ozzy's own heaven.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But no, I
He
love
can eat anything he wants and will never get sick.
yeah, it's kind of perfect.
That there's nothing I did wrong to have cancer, but what I do have control over is how I take care of myself now.
Hmm.
Do what I can now. But smokers can live into their 90s, and
Healthy young athletes can drop like that. Yeah.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
People like Joni,
Yeah.
was very young, very fit.
Yeah, exactly.
The last person you'd think would have a heart attack, but she did.
Yeah, and I think that's hard, particularly when we have been hardwired, when it's been baked into our entire lives that, if this, then that.
Right.
I mean, like, if I put in enough effort, then I will get a reward of good health, or a good job, or a good relationship, or a good,
Right.
and
That's just our training.
it is our training. We are trained that way. And in some ways, again, this is my experience as a bystander, as a caregiver, as a loved one, that you have had that experience through your cancer experience. It's like, okay, if I do the treatment, if I do this, if I go to my blood work, if I take the pills, if I do this, I do this, I do this,
And that's so
and then I
true.
go to the next step, and then
Right.
and then
I take the Linpars, I got the
then you get 3 more years of life, which are
which is
freaking
wonderful.
miracle,
Yeah.
right? And we now know it's a miracle. but
Yeah.
but now it seems to me it's almost like the way I almost reflect on it is like that was part of the bargaining with cancer, and cancer was playing along. It's like, okay, you do this, I'll give you this, you do this, and cancer's like saying, okay.
I'll do it.
And now cancer's like, we're not bargaining anymore.
Yeah, we're done.
There's no bargaining. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're absolutely right, is saying that you can do things that make you feel better in the interim, and we do not know how long that interim is.
Right.
Like between
But
now
I have
and
a choice of how good what I can do to make myself feel better, or being just depressed and saying, oh, okay, I'm not going to bother anymore then, because
So it affects your quality of life.
yeah,
So
that I can give myself.
So if you put on some makeup and you do your steps and you connect with family, that affects your quality of life, and that affects your suffering, your level of
Right.
that decreases your suffering.
I have some choice and some control over that.
So, but you're not playing cancer's game anymore.
No,
It's cancer's bargaining game.
no.
Yeah,
Cancer's going to win in the end.
it looks like it. Yeah, I mean, none of us know, right?
But that's looking pretty likely at the moment.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm trying to focus just on what can I do now.
Right. But is there almost like what I'm trying to get at is that it almost is like there's almost like an energy switch, or maybe
Yeah.
because that part is over
Mhm.
without passing judgment. Because of course, I mean, that was working.
Right.
It was working and you did what you didn't. It was, that sort of thing.
I
But
could have refused Lynparza, but I'd likely be gone by now.
oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think everybody agrees to that. But is there a freedom in making choices for just yourself, for just your own well-being?
Oh yeah.
That, for example, I guess what I'm trying to get at is, for example, by choosing to balance, I want to do, a mile walk, or I want to do my steps, or I want to put on makeup, or I want to, make sure that I connect with family today because it feels good.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Not because it's going to ward off cancer, make me skinny, make me look good in these jeans, make me live longer even, but because it actually brings out a sense of well-being. Let alone because it's the right thing to do, or the wrong, you know what I mean?
Not judgmental, it's because it makes me feel good at the time.
It's self-quality of life, I guess. Right?
Yeah. Just when I walk a mile, I feel good, so I walk a
So
mile.
I walk a mile. And when I want chocolate for breakfast, I have chocolate for breakfast because it feels good. Exactly.
I'm not worried about calories or my genes. It just I'm eating. But I think my rules for myself have gone down. And it's more trusting myself rather than external. External.
Yeah, I think that's huge, actually, trusting that you know yourself better. And that to me, I see that connection with the, your newfound assertiveness, your newfound ability to or support to be able to put down boundaries. It's sort of things like I trust myself. It's like if I tell you I'm going to eat chocolate and walk, or tell you I want this or don't want that, or my choices are being heard or will be heard, or these are my choices. To me, that's all actually of a piece.
Yeah.
Do you see those things of a piece as well, or not really? To me, I don't think they're knocking for us.
Okay.
It's okay. It's completely silent. There's still a bit of a noise, but it's better. I said I see the being able to speak up for yourself and making choices, whether it's the chocolate or the walking, because you all trust yourself a little bit more.
Yeah.
Is that right, or am I putting
No, I think that's
okay.
really and I feel like there's just I'm coming through more. There's so many. I'm not even sure what was in the way in the past, but there were more layers of okay, should I do this? And questioning myself, and then okay, got through that. So there's another my inner before what I was feeling to get through more layers of self-editing or self-censoring or whatever.
And there's less of that now.
Less of that. That's more just this is what I feel. I'm going to put it out, see what happens.
Yeah. Is there anything else that I haven't asked you? Because it's almost sensory break time,
Yeah.
rest time for you.
No, I think we covered a lot, and I'm where I need to be and where I want to be, and have wonderful people around me. So I feel very blessed.
Well, so do I. And thank you once again for doing this. I love you so much.
Thank you, Paula.
And I hope I've recorded this.
Okay.